You guys don't understand. The moment I saw this in Spider-Man No Way Home, I knew I could do something funny with it. And since we're talking about the legends, Tobey and Andrew today, no better time than to make it an intro. Let's roll it.
Here's your web cartridges.
Oh, thanks, man.
What's that for?
It's my web fluid. It's for my web shooters. Why?
Whoa! That came out of you.
Guys, do you know what I fucking... You know what I can do with these fucking ass cars? You can't do that, huh?
Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on another episode of Side Flick. We've got so much movie news to dive into here today. Some of the glorious stuff we're going to be talking about here today is we have an update on the Godzilla vs. Kong sequel. We actually have our first bit of set footage from the Kraven the Hunter solo movie. Reports from reliable sources that both Tobey and Andrew Garfield are finalizing their talks to return as Spider-Man. That along with so much more. So many of you guys give me your opinions with everything we discuss here today. Let me know what you enjoy, what you didn't enjoy. What did you do this weekend? Come on, you had to have done something fun. Did you commit murder? I won't tell nobody. Either way, just be sure you're leaving your thoughts down below and liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Alright, so diving into our first movie news story here today, we're diving into something that's finger looking good. A KFC movie. Now I know what you're thinking. You're hoping it's a Colonel Sanders action-adventure thirst trap of a movie, but it's a biopic on how KFC started out. According to Deadline here, they have it written, screenwriter Cheryl Guerrero adapts Colonel Sanders' finger-licking good story for a film project with producer Eric Paquette. As from what we can expect from the movie, they went ahead and said this in a statement, I knew Sanders was a real man, but I had no idea how many jobs he had, how many failures, how many challenges, but the biggest surprise was that he was around 65 years old when he set out to franchise his chicken. It is an incredible story of perseverance and faith. I don't know about you guys, but I actually get a real big kick out of these biopic movies where they explain to you how a company that we know today to be famous got their start out. I mean, one of my favorites is The Social Network, the Facebook movie. I also really like The Founder that starred Michael Keaton and was about McDonald's and the rise of that company. I think there's just always an inspiring factor to those kinds of movies because they usually start off with a person who had nothing or everything to lose only for them to get majorly successful or screwed over by a business partner. You better lawyer up, asshole, because I'm not just coming back for a bucket of chicken. I'm coming back for the whole finger-licking system. That was my best Andrew Garfield Social Network impression. So yes, I know it might sound a little weird that they're gonna go ahead and make a KFC movie, but knowing it's a biopic, the true story of how the restaurant started, there's actually a real person that it's based off that's still its logo today, I think it would be really fun and inspiring movies. But you guys go ahead and let me know, are you interested to see the live story of KFC? And does talking KFC make you want some KFC? Moving on to an update here for a superhero movie I'm actually really excited about, and that is the upcoming live-action Blue Beetle movie that is set to hit theaters August 18th of 2023. Thanks to the wrap, we have now gotten the confirmation of a lot of new cast members added to the movie, one of them being George Lopez. I don't have a trampoline in the office, but maybe I could do my best George Lopez jump. But according to the article, the director did go ahead and comment and say that these will be the family members for our main lead, played by Solo Maridueña, aka Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle. Now, some of these names here and there I am familiar with, but the one I was most excited to see was George Lopez, okay? I think even if you weren't a Hispanic kid growing up, most of us have probably seen that George Lopez show at Nick at Night or anywhere else on TV growing up. I know it was one of my nightly routines. I get a real big kick out of the man, and just to see him now added onto a cast for the Blue Beetle movie that is going to be a predominantly Mexican cast really makes me happy, because as a Hispanic myself, we haven't had that many Hispanic superheroes that have been the leads of their own films. It's also feel like this Blue Beetle movie has just come a long way, with this originally being set to release on HBO Max, then out of nowhere they changed their minds and were like, yep, let's put it in theaters. So that lets me know they see real faith in what's being developed behind the scenes, the story that they've made. I know I'm just excited to see the live action version of this costume that they've released from concept concept art. And with them adding people like George Lopez in here, I think it's just gonna make the movie that much more entertaining and fun for me. But you guys, here are some of the casting updates involving the Blue Beetle movie. Does this excite you? Are you interested to see this character? Would love to hear from you guys down below. Moving on to something we haven't heard about in a long time here, we finally have an update on the Godzilla vs. Kong sequel that we've heard has been in the works. Thanks to a newspaper outlet in Australia, there were reports coming out that a Godzilla vs. Kong sequel was headed to be filmed in Australia. And then with that being out there, other outlets like Variety and Deadline did some digging, and they confirmed that a Godzilla vs. Kong sequel is set to film in Australia this year. Now, Australia has actually been like the go-to location to film a lot of these MonsterVerse movies, so I guess it only makes sense that they would be returning there. Now, we gotta address the elephant in the room. I know there's a lot of people right now confused going, wait, a Godzilla vs. Kong sequel? They're gonna fight again? For what purpose? They were chums by the end of that movie. And well, it's technically a Godzilla vs. Kong sequel in the aspect that it's just gonna take place after those events, but not necessarily be another Godzilla vs. Kong movie. In fact, from what we heard a long time ago is that director Adam Wingard would be returning. That's not confirmed, but that's what we were hearing. And that the movie would essentially be another solo King Kong movie, possibly titled Son of Kong, which would obviously be a movie about King Kong and his son and maybe raising him in Hollow Earth. But again, there has been no confirmation on those aspects. That's just what we've been hearing in the background, and it looks like we'll finally be getting those answers later this year when casting announcements and updates on the film become more official. But this is where I throw it off to you guys. Are you excited for a Godzilla vs. Kong movie? What do you want it to be about? And do you think the MonsterVerse universe could still have a lot of success even if it's not a versus fighting movie? Something else that happened over the weekend I was not expecting to see at all is we got our first bit of set footage and set photos from the Kraven the Hunter solo movie. Now, we all know we're eagerly excited and awaiting to watch Morbius, but after that film is over, we got two more in the tank that are coming from Sony, the Kraven the Hunter movie and the Madam Web film. Over the past couple of weeks, we've been hearing non-stop just so many casting announcements for the Kraven the Hunter film, and now we know they are rolling cameras. This footage was taken in London around St. Paul Cathedral, and it's not a whole lot to go off, but essentially what we're looking at here is Aaron Taylor Johnson's stunt double that is clinging onto the side of a van as it looks like he's about to punch through the window, as I assume he's chasing somebody down and trying to get their hands on it. And you gotta admit, when you thought Kraven the Hunter solo movie, I was thinking maybe more of a jungle setting, something out in the wilderness, really giving us an idea of that origin, but now it looks like they're making a damn spy movie. I think it is kind of cool, the body movements they have on Kraven the Hunter right here, because this does feel very animalistic like you would see from him. I think it's just going to be weird seeing Aaron Taylor Johnson be kind of a regular dude in regular clothes, just going ahead and fighting some regular people. Sony's just really testing the Spider-Man fan base and going, all right, y'all made Venom a wildly successful franchise. Let's see if we can do the same with the other supervillains in Spider-Man's lineup without them ever really facing off against Spider-Man. Because if I'm being honest with you guys, like, I'm gonna see this Kraven the Hunter movie. It's Spider-Man related, so they got my money there. But at the end of the day, what I want to see is a Kraven versus Spider-Man film. I want to see Kraven as this master hunter who's essentially a human going ahead and taking down one of the biggest superheroes out there, Spider-Man. I don't really want to see him in London chasing cars down, breaking windows, beating up minor Spider-Man villains. Let me know what you guys think of this set footage for the Kraven the Hunter movie. Are you excited for the film, or is this not what you expected at all? And I guess since we're on the Spider-Man hype train, we gotta talk about it here. Reports are coming in from some reliable sources that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are officially closing deals so that they can be signed on for multiple upcoming movies as Spider-Man. Now, I think we have been hearing this report like non-stop ever since Spider-Man No Way Home came out, just because it's like the most obvious thing that is gonna be happening with these two characters. Sony saw the amount of money they made by bringing them back. They are not just gonna let that collect dust. They're gonna go ahead and try and exploit that. But it did recently come out first with a Twitter user by the name of Edwin, who let us know that Andrew Garfield was in active talks for more than one film with Sony, and then a couple of days later that story was backed up by another reliable scooper named Ember, who, if you remember the Spider-Man No Way Home leaking days, this is one user that was letting us see so many photos and plot details for the movie that we know turned out to be correct. So that's maybe the reason I'm talking about it now, is because these are two sources that I trust whenever they come out out with stuff related to Spider-Man. But like I was saying, even if you're someone who's skeptical or doesn't trust these sources, we know it's gonna be happening. So the big question we gotta ask ourselves is, when is it going to be happening? When are they gonna decide to bring Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back into another movie? And it's honestly kind of a confusing question, because I'll be honest with you guys, as a Spider-Man fan, and after what they did with No Way Home and how that basically set up Tom Holland as becoming his truest version of Spider-Man, I don't really want to see them pop up again in another one of his solo movies. Because like for the first time in a long time in the MCU, they have built Tom Holland's Spider-Man in such a unique way after Spider-Man No Way Home, where I want to see him just be by himself. I want to know what his life now is like, struggling with getting a job, holding down his grades, maybe finding another love interest, with also being Spider-Man and not the connections of the Avengers. I feel like that would then be slightly ruined if a couple of portals opened up and then Tobey and Andrew show up next to him. But that's not to say I never want to see the three Spider Bros together again. I do. I just want Tom Holland to now have his moment to shine. So to me, what makes the most sense is a Secret Wars movie. What we've been talking about is this kind of collision of all the multiverse characters being put on a battleground to be facing off against each other. That really seems like what the MCU is building up towards, and that way we would get a bonus of not only seeing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield interact with Tom Holland again, but then we could see them interact with other Marvel Universe characters that we've always wanted them to. So that's the possibility there, but then again, that's only making money for Marvel. If they show up in a team-up movie, that's money that's going straight into Marvel's pocket. And at the end of the day, Sony's gonna be like, hey, wait, these are our characters. These are the two Spider people we built before we made this deal with the MCU. So of course, Sony's gonna have their own plans and want to bring in Tobey and Andrew into their own solo films, but I feel if you're making a movie called Madam Web or Kraven the Hunter or even Morbius, which there's reports coming out now that there's no Spider-Man people showing up in that film, you don't just shoehorn in Tobey and Andrew for a little small cameo or a small role. I feel like that is such a waste to bring back Tobey and Andrew in a film called Madam Web. But I'm also just at a loss for words where Sony wants to bring them in, because they have made it very clear in other interviews, Amy Pascal and other people involved in Sony, that Tom Holland is their Spider-Man. That's the only person they want focusing to get solo movies and solo attention, which should really scare us Amazing Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 4 Tobey Maguire fans, because if Sony only has it in mind to give Tom Holland the solo spotlight, where do they plan to bring in Tobey and Andrew if they're not going to give them their solo movies? I guess Sony's maybe afraid that if they start building up Tobey and Andrew again, that people would be less interested in Tom Holland, and then those movies will suffer. Or it'll be an oversaturation of their brand Spider-Man, and then people will get sort of burnt out on the idea of like, oh look, three Spider people, been there, done that, when that was once the biggest thing in the world. So I know that was a lot of rambling, but seriously, it makes you wonder then, if they are coming back, where do they plan to bring them? Because it's not just going to be for MCU films. Sony wants some of that money. Only thing that makes sense to me is you make a solo team-up trilogy where it's 3 films all back-to-back about them teaming up to do a Spider-Verse event. I don't know. Only time will tell, but I throw it off to you guys. What do you think the best way of integrating Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire into the future of not only the MCU, but the Sony universe could be? But that is all the movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movies. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.